everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got a guest I'm pretty sure has not been on the show before. I think.
I have
Like, I don't.
not.
No, okay.
No,
But you've been on Indie Film or Indie Corner Radio where I interviewed you, but you haven't been on this particular. You've never reviewed a movie with me yet. So,
I have
uh,
actually never reviewed a movie at all.
what? This is your
Yeah,
first, like,
yeah,
your virgin territory
uh-huh,
of doing that? All
uh-huh.
right, popping your cherry. All right, well, there you go. I'm really excited to do that because this is, to me, I do this all the time, so it's kind of normal. But we're going to be talking about. Well, first of all, I've got my special. I'm Jonathan A. Moody. I've got my special guest, Jason A. Cook. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good. Good to see you
Good.
again.
Good to see you too, man. Um, so Jason and I have worked together on a few projects and stuff, and and I just asked him to come on, and I think you thought at first we're going to meet at the studio, which you've been to, but nope. We do this one I can do through Zoom because it's just easier than going all the way out there and wasting gas and time, whatever. But we're going to be talking about the 2019 film Camp Wedding, which I had never heard of before
Nor
I,
had
I
I.
did it. Literally what happened was, and this is, I think I talk about this all the time on the show, is generally what I do is when I find somebody, unless it's something that's been asked of me to review or whatever, I will generally just go on Tubi and I will start just looking up horror films. And this one popped up and I said, Camp Wedding? That I don't know. That didn't sound like much of a horror film, but when I kind of looked into it, I was like, all right, this should be fun, and the idea of I'm surprised. I don't know if people have done that where they have gotten married at a summer camp, like when it's like off season or something. That would actually be kind of a cool destination wedding, which is what I guess this idea was supposed to be. Also, the idea, I guess, was it was cheap because she booked it from an Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny. I don't know if they have the permission. Isn't that like a trademark Airbnb or, you know,
That I don't know. But you can
yeah.
book anything on Airbnb these days, so I
So
could
it kind
see
of
it. Yeah.
makes you can see it. You can see, well, all right. We'll get into how she ends up booking it later in the, and
Yes.
we're going to be doing a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go to Tubi, watch it first
Watch it first.
before,
Yes.
yeah, because we're going to talk about stuff. There's no way I could do a show like this and not give any spoilers. Be
That was
sure.
going to be my question if we can talk about, spoilers, because in order to talk about it, you have to talk about what happens, I think. So,
Right. And
yeah.
there's a lot that happens, sort of. It's one of those movies that kind of keeps untangling, untangling, and untangling until the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very surprised about that. Generally speaking, a lot of these films are kind of I don't know, kind of boring, in that sense. Like, yeah, a lot of it is movies that, like, summer camp movies. They're all sort of the same thing, you know. But anyway, we'll start off. They're kind of driving down the road, going to the camp, and you kind of start getting the idea that they all love their phones, right?
Oh, yeah. That's quite apparent right off the bat.
Well, and that was actually an interesting idea for a camp movie. A lot of these camp movies, they like to like flashback to the 1980s and stuff like that, and give homage to like Friday the 13th. This is a
Mm-hmm.
modern day one. And so everybody's on their phones, everybody's texting each other while they're in the same car. There's lots of that stuff. They're all saying, "Oh my God, you're in a relationship now,"
Yeah.
or whatever, you
Well, I
know.
kind of liked how it was modern day, but it was also like the camp. It was like a really old school camp, like 80s feel camp. Even though they had the cell phones and some modern technology, but everything else about the place is like old school.
Yeah, how do they call like Tuck or Potumtuck?
Oh, I don't know how to say it.
I
I'd butcher it. Yeah.
it was a hard, but it was a lot of these camps are based on Native American, names, because I guess that's where a lot of the Native Americans grounds, the Indian burial grounds and Indian territories were, and so they were based on that. I think even the original Friday the 13th one, which was shot at like Camp No P something or whatever, but it was
I can't
also in New
remember.
Jersey, which this was filmed in, which I was like, okay, I like that's kind of cool too. Like originally what is it? Friday the 13th was filmed in New Jersey, I believe. So the original
Hmm.
movie. So I think that's a kind of a neat little thing. But they all get there. We kind of meet some of the characters and things just get a little like get weird from the very beginning because you find out that there are people that weren't supposed to be there, that are there. Like the one girl who was basically accidentally invited to the wedding.
Yeah, she got an email where she was like, "Hey, come to my wedding," and she got like super excited, but it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Right.
So when she finds out later, it kind of makes her sad, but she's gonna stay because, it's I mean, I would have stayed just because it'd be a bitch to leave,
Hmm.
anyway, at like that late at night. But she decides to stay, and I mean, there's a lot. There's a few characters in this movie, and a bunch of side stories. I guess one of them might be pregnant. Did we ever fully figure that out? Because she kept turning down all the beers and stuff, or
Yeah. Well, I think they alluded to that she was, yeah.
yeah, but they never fully
They
came
never
out and
fully
said
said,
it,
right, yeah, yeah.
which I would have liked if they had done that. But I guess they just didn't, you know.
Mm,
So what is it? Then there's I mean, obviously there's a bride who on the description it says she's a bridezilla. She sort of is, but like usually you have a wedding planner there like
right.
on there. She's doing her own planning.
Pretty much all by herself. Yeah. I mean, she has
Right.
some friends, but it's like definitely a low budget wedding. So,
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of just scraping it all together, and she gets all the people who kind of come early to help set up and everything, which I mean,
the bridesmaids, yeah.
yeah,
It's all the bridesmaids and then the groom and the couple of groomsmen that come in
well,
later.
come in later,
Yeah.
and I love their introduction because I was like, oh shit, where's this gonna go?
Hmm.
And then you find out, well, when they come in and everybody's like terrified of them, they got all the masks like that, all of those. One of the one girl who was like the best friend of the groom, and dated the groom, I guess, for a little bit, um, pulled off the mask to one of them, and they all kind of all laughed, and it was all a big joke. I don't know what kind of joke that is to say, like why they would uh why they would do that from the very beginning. I think that's kind of effed up, especially when all the people want to do is just relax at
Yep.
and get this wedding going, but they'll do that, and it's three guys there, the groom, and I guess the two best men. You're not best men, like groomsmen.
Groomsmen, yeah.
Yeah,
I
one of
guess
them
one
was the
was
best
best
man.
man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he was the um what did you think of the acting, honestly?
The acting was actually pretty decent for a low budget indie film.
Yeah, because I'm sure you've seen a lot of low budget indie films, and
And I've been
sometimes,
in quite a few as well, yeah.
yeah, you've been in a few as well, and I'm not saying yours or anything, but like some movies are not well acted,
Right.
or anything, and that kind of sucks, because you're expecting them to be, a lot better, than they are or
No, yeah,
whatever.
the acting was pretty good, especially the lead actress. She was pretty good, I thought. There was there's some little bits here and there that are a little bit weird, but other than that, I mean, her acting and the sorry, I don't have the names available. Should
I
I
can
like
pull up the
had
names. I
all the
guess
names?
there's uh what is it?
The one who wasn't invited, so she was pretty interesting too. She had an interesting character there.
Eileen.
Eileen, okay.
Yeah, she was played by Wendy Jung or Young. I don't know if you pronounce it like that. It's Jung. She was sweet. I liked her.
Hmm.
Um, it was okay. So at one point, I bet, were you thinking somebody hacked their phones?
Yes. definitely, yeah. Well, yeah, I was thinking it was someone or something because they kept alluding on the way up to the Indian massacre and Native American massacre, and
uh, and the witches.
yeah, the witches, and then the girl that drowned. There's like signs on the way up and stuff like that, kind of alluding to all this stuff that happened on the site. So you had to kind of figure it was probably going to be something supernatural, but then it seems like hacking phones, is that really a supernatural thing, or is that someone messing with them? So
Yeah,
um,
so you thought there might be a killer, or
yeah.
whatever, that was just maybe, using the lore from the camp to whatever. But, so it was, yeah, because okay, so my biggest, one of my biggest things was thinking like when they see like when the main girl what's her character's name?
Look it up.
Mia.
Mia, yeah.
When Mia discovers her friend, I think it was Alexis is dead and stuff on the ground. Remember? I think it was Alexis, right?
Yes. Hmm.
And so she was on the ground dead. And they were like, and they said like all of a sudden the phone told them, don't move the,
Don't move the body
don't
or
move the body
another one will
or
die or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
another person will die. And I thought there was somebody watching them, right? And then I
Right.
kept watching all the people, and I'm like, well, it can't be that Eileen chick. She's in the freezer. Can't be, Paulette. She's out there getting it on with the other dude, the dude. And then there's all these other characters are all out there. They can't be watching her. So who is it? And I was like, maybe there's another person like, doing all of this. And we come to find out it's it's really like I guess it's the witches that were doing it because they thought it was the little girl that was doing it, but she said she wasn't in control of the phones,
Hmm.
that the witches were mad at them or something. And I'm like, what are they all like hanging out on the camp? Like, like in spirit form or something, and they can all see each other, and everything. Like that would have been cool to see if we could have saw like that would have been more something he could have done in Hollywood or whatever. But like if it all of a sudden it kind of flashed to all being able for all of us to be able to see like all the witches hanging out, playing with the phones and messing around, and then the little girl off on her own, like watching them and kind of scared of them, and then all the Indians that were massacred probably pretty upset because they were like on an area that had a lot, and I think they even said in the beginning that had a lot of problems.
Yeah. A
There
lot of
was a
issues.
lot, yeah, a lot of things that happened on there. So what was your favorite part of this movie?
I guess the reveal later on because it was kind of confusing with the phones. There was a lot of phone use,
Mhm.
and sometimes I felt like in the movie that became a little bit cumbersome because they'd be for some reason they'd be able to text back and forth, and it was actually pretty good graphics when the text would pop up on the screen. So they'd be reading it, and then you'd have the text pop up as an add-on animation. But that became a little bit cumbersome during the movie when you're trying to figure out, how are they getting all these people's numbers, and there's text going back and forth and they don't know each other at all. But kind of
Yeah,
the reveal of how this all happened, and it wasn't, an actual person. It was these, spirits basically messing with them. So that kind of helped tie it all together for me because I was a little bit confused of that. And there was some jumping around. There was some scenes where they, could have expand a little bit. It kind of jumped a little bit to me, back and forth, especially when they're starting to run around and everything. But I think for me, the best part was when you were like, "Hey, I understand this little girl's kind of telling the story," and it kind of ties everything together about how they're able to use these phones to interact and essentially take over people. I mean, they're basically making them kind of uh, like phone zombies, which kind of is funny because that's kind of in real life. There's a lot of people who are
just as
sitting
well, even
there
me, including
almost
me,
like
I'm
this.
always on my phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of the way our society is heading toward, in a way, too, is everybody's going to be on their phone. I follow a guy named Gary V and Gary Vaynerchuk, and a lot of what he talks about is people on their phones all the time because that's what like everybody wants, like that's where the direction of our society is heading, is that everything that we do and everything we need is on these phones, so whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's up to you to decide. But I'm just saying that's, sort of where it's heading. So yeah, the phone zombies kind of thing is pretty cool. Like you see it walking around. If you touch it, you sort of become a zombie too or something. You get shocked and potentially, like there's a male stripper who shows up.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's a cop. Like I was like, oh good, one of their things went through. That's what I thought. And then I was like,
Except
okay,
for the
there's
yellow light. I was like, why does he have a yellow light? And he has a weird, like, cheesy siren and this little yellow light he put on top of his car. And I was like,
well, I thought it was a low budget, like the town didn't have even a big budget, or maybe this movie was a low budget movie. I mean, so low budget. If you look at the credits, the crew listing is very small, and
mhm.
I was like, dang man, like that's pretty awesome because you really don't get to see that. You usually see, even on a low budget crew, like everybody's doing a million things or something. So, but you just saw like, maybe,
Wow. Yeah, I didn't look at the full IMDb, and there is not a lot of crew there, right?
yeah, it really isn't. And it was, and that was like on the end of the movie, the credits rolled, and so I waited to the end. I always like to wait to the end just in case something else pops up or something. You never know. Sometimes they do a little scene, but it was ending. The credits only lasted about like a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like that's not normal. Usually there's like 3 minutes or something of a credits, or at least. And nope, there was only 1 minute of credits. And um but I mean, I like, yeah, I like the stripper guy come in, and then he ends up like they end up grabbing his gun, and then shooting it, and it's just music playing, or whatever, like, and you have the right
Mm-hmm.
to take off your clothes or something.
Yeah, it's like a
And
little cap gun, and it kept like changing the music and stuff, and it had a little uh lights and stuff. That was kind of fun
yeah,
for his dance.
I wonder if that's
They never got to
real,
do.
if that's really what a guy stripper cop would have, like, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then he got attacked by the thing, but she thought he got shot or something, right? But he just stopped, right?
Yeah, just slumped over. Yeah.
Just slumped over. He wasn't, no bullet wound, no nothing, and he wasn't, because he wasn't shot or killed. He was attacked by the phone, which is surprising. Like why didn't they take everybody with the phones? You know, why didn't they
Well,
turn
you had
everybody
to
into
do
zombies?
because you had to do a because there are all the camp rules when he first went in about lying and cheating and everything, and you had to break one of the rules. Essentially, is the way is what I gathered.
But
So
but Mia did break all the rules, didn't she? Because
yeah,
she
I think
broke lying, at least. Because at the end she explained everything, that she's been lying.
yeah, and I think she lied to her friend that she didn't mean to invite, like right off the bat. So there was a little bit of holes like that where like they were almost selectively like the characters would get taken out by the ghosts over breaking those rules, but it was more selective, I feel like, and not like, basically everyone should have been taken out because they lied or did something there. So
Yeah, and then like the big thing was they had to call on the girl, so they had to do like a seance kind of thing. And even at one point they couldn't even do that because they were all arguing and everything. And then finally
mhm.
they did it, and they called the little girl through the teddy bear, through like the
Yes,
Teddy
Teddy
Ruxpin.
Ruxpin. I quite like that actually. That was a great part. Is bringing out this old, I don't know when that Teddy Ruxpin's from the 90s or something maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
that was a
even
real
know.
Teddy Ruxpin, wasn't it?
Looked like it. I
I
think so.
wonder, did they have to get permission from Teddy Ruxpin, from whoever created it, or can they just do
I
it?
don't
I
know.
put it on
Could
there.
probably just do it at this point. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think it's made anymore, so I don't know if there's any violation of rights for a
that's nice that
dated
somebody
product.
somebody gave them that or whatever. Somebody, maybe somebody on, maybe the writer, director, or whatever was like, hey, I've got a Teddy Ruxpin, from my childhood. So it looked like an old, version, or maybe they bought it on eBay. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what is it? And then she's talking to the Teddy, and it was so cute. Like that stuff when she was talking, I love that part. Like that, I think those were my favorite scenes, were with the little girl talking and kind of like, duh,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah. Like,
like she,
yep.
they were trying to like say, you drowned. She's like, yeah, I know. I'm well aware of what happened. Blah blah blah. You guys aren't whatever. And I just thought all of that was just so adorable. Like all of the little girl stuff. Um, but we have to explain, I guess, what, like, why, like, all that happened. I guess that was the camp director was like really big on the rules,
Oh, really strict. Yeah.
really strict. And she was recording him talking.
Because,
And
well, no electronics were allowed by the camp director whatsoever. And she
no,
thought she had permission to record because so she could listen to it later and process it and stuff like that.
when I was a kid, my dad bought had one of those big Apple IIc computers, like the first ones ever made, and he brought it into my fifth grade class, right? And gave it to my teacher because I was terrible at, like, my writing was illegible, right, at that time. And so it isn't the best writer, I'm not the best writer ever now, still, but so I would type on the computer and stuff, and then when I left and went to middle school, it stayed there, right, and everything. And my teacher later on told me that I saw her years later when I was an adult, and she said she still had that computer at the school.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's probably gone now, but hopefully, because it's a if they could keep that for this long, for over 20 years, 30
An
years.
antique? Oh, it
Yeah.
could be worth some money now. I don't know. All
Yeah.
those old relics.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. I had to write down a lot of stuff, and if they were told me no electronics in the classroom, I don't know, I might have been in trouble. But I guess, like, this was supposed to, like, when all that stuff happened and Ted Ruxpin, all that was 80s, right? So that kind of understandable that, like, people back then really did not like electronics, probably thought apparently electronics is a sin, or technology is a sin, or something.
To the camp director, yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
How is that a sin? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I have no idea
It's a
what
weird one.
sin that is. But that's what she got in trouble for, which was
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. She shouldn't have gotten on the board of sinners, for that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that yet. The board of sinners. So anyone who broke the rules got a Polaroid taken and got put up on the little cork board as the board of sinners. Yeah. And the
It,
little girl was number one
it
special answer.
is convenient that the one chick brought a Polaroid camera, right?
Yeah, did she bring that or was it already there? I don't know.
I
Maybe I
don't
missed
know. I
that.
I thought she brought it because they were talking about how the Polaroids were popping up, and she was the one who still had it around her. So the Polaroids were not that were popping up and being on the internet and stuff, on like Facebook or whatever it is. Hey, get out of there. Sorry. My dog is doing some crazy stuff right now. Hey, come on. Go in the other room. Um, so yeah, so she was basically what is it, doing the Polaroids, and the Polaroids were getting taken, and so who was doing the Polaroids? It had to be, well, I guess it can't be the girl because she wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
It
that part
wasn't
I
her.
didn't get because when someone would get killed, basically, they would be show up on her group, the Mia's wedding group, and it'd be a Polaroid of them, right before
cheater.
they, yeah, whatever the sin or whatever the issue was, and it'd be like on a Polaroid on the phone though, and a picture would pop up. So I didn't really understand how that Polaroid of them came up when the
Mhm.
Eileen girl had the Polaroid camera the whole time, and that's why
Yeah,
they suspected her is because she had the camera. Like, hey, look, someone's taking Polaroids of all these people.
yeah. So they thought it was her, but she was locked in the freezer, which is terrible. It's a terrible thing to do to somebody, like especially, well, I mean, if you think they're a killer or something, or they're, trying to kill people, then maybe, but like you gotta have proof, like or whatever.
She was
Um,
pretty tough though, so she did actually bust out. So
she did bust out, and
yeah.
she ended up knocking the groom down, and I thought she I thought it went through his eye or something.
No, so he was like holding the knives like this because he's trying to scare her. So we haven't talked about that either. So um I guess what was his name? The groom
It would start with a
character.
D.
Yeah.
Um,
Dalvaro.
Delvaro,
He
yeah.
he was texting with one of the ghosts, and one of the ghosts was like, try to get rid of Eileen, He's like, what, should I scare her or something? So he put the mask back on and he was kind of going around with a couple of big knives and trying to scare them. And he tried to bust in because he heard her in the walk-in. And that's right when she like busted out. So it showed like the knife going through a can of ketchup or something.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I
I
wasn't
thought
sure. It was like, did he get stabbed? But no, it was like up in the ketchup and like leaking on him. So then he was like covered in red stuff. But at that point, he was still alive.
he was still alive, but then I guess he had the phone in his hand or something because
Yeah.
he ends up getting, possessed by the phone or whatever and starts walking around like, "Arr,"
Yeah, that's kind of one other thing I didn't really understand about it. So, I mean, whatever happened to these people and they like essentially died since they didn't have a pulse or anything. Like Eileen, we were talking about, she was just laying there and they're like, oh, just cover her up. So
Oh no, no,
she
Eileen,
literally,
Alexis.
yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Alexis, yes. But then she's like dead. And then all of a sudden
She's alive at the end.
well, I mean, she came back and she's like a zombie.
Right.
We haven't talked about the total ending yet, but yeah, but she was like completely dead for some reason. And then some of them became zombies like right away, and some of them just laid there for however long. I didn't really understand that why there's that time lapse where they're basically just dead. And then they all kind of get up and they're like bone zombies.
I don't know. Like I don't know either because remember at the end, like we didn't mention that, but the end they all, because they all sacrificed their like own, told their own, story or whatever, and like confessed their sins or whatever. They end up, their Polaroids get taken, and then the one little girl in the Teddy Ruxpin says her like, oh, she was like, am I supposed to do mine? All right.
Hmm.
She says her lies or whatever, and then bam, all of a sudden everybody wakes up and they're alive. They're fine.
Yeah, so this is a horror film with a happy ending.
Um, I, I guess it's also sort of one of those things where, I kind of at that time at like right after it's done, I'm like thinking, wow, now they all have to like, live in that honesty that they all now have committed these
Hmm.
sins or whatever, and now have to kind of like sit
Taught him a
in that.
lesson.
Yeah. But it was interesting. Like I didn't mind that they all lived because like the only thing I always get mad about, and Paul laughs at this all the time, is that I always get mad if it's like if they wake up and it's all a dream. It never
Yeah.
happened at all or whatever. That drives me nuts. You know, this is sort of like that, except I actually don't mind this because like I like the fact that everybody lived. Because, in
I
a
was
way,
surprised.
yeah, I was sort of surprised. I didn't think that would happen. And then I guess the wedding ended up happening anyway.
With just
Because,
them, yeah.
yeah,
Because
with
it she
just,
had canceled it.
yeah, she had to cancel because originally one of her lies was that she didn't cancel it.
Yep.
So she had to say, all right, I lied. I didn't actually cancel it and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you got to cancel it. You can't have people coming here when there's foam zombies, like it doesn't make any sense. So, I really like that. Like it just to me it was sort of this really fun, enjoyable movie, you
It was
know?
fun. Yeah, I liked
Um
it.
I
I mean, there's a couple little issues I had with it here and there. Just some things that make you scratch your head, like when they were when the phone zombies were coming after them and they barricaded in that room, that door. They barricaded the door with like um shelving and stuff like that, and they were trying to get in with the knives and stuff. And they're trying to dig through the door. All the other phone zombies out there, but they had the one girl Alexis in there, and she was like zombified with her phone, and they just put chairs around her. So the other dudes were like busting in the door, and the Alexis girl was like stopped by a couple of little wooden chairs that were like it just surrounded her, and they were all just sitting there like, "What do we do?" They're doing the seance and stuff, and Alexis is just like all kind
yeah, I was
of
like,
bumping around.
why would they trust that that chick's not gonna come over
And
there
why
and
does she not do anything? Because they're literally busting on the door, and she's just like,
yeah, I
So
guess I don't know. Maybe they weren't afraid of her. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know about
Uh
them.
I don't know. That was weird. Yeah, you're right. I and there okay, so I don't know how you felt. There were like, like homosexual characters that are in the movie or whatever, and they're like, I guess it felt so weird because I guess, I don't know how many like it didn't talk much like openly about the homosexuality stuff, right? Which um like there's the one guy, Gore, his name is. I'm like, really? Your name is Gore? In a horror film? All right, you
Mhm.
know. And then there was the other guy who the best man, who takes shrooms because that one guy tells him he should take shrooms to like, study his lines or whatever, study
It
his
was like
stuff.
to help them like calm down or something.
How does shrooms help anybody calm down?
I don't
That
know.
that that would
No,
give
they addressed that. They said he like because he was talking to I can't remember their names. It was Trask was talking to the I don't know her name. Is it Paulette? Maybe.
Paulette was
Uh
the girl who was best friends with
yeah.
Delvero,
And
the groom.
then he had said they gave him shrooms, the best man. She's like, "What'd you do that for? I was going to calm him down." He's like, "Well, I got weed." So I
Yeah,
don't know if
but
the shrooms were there maybe to make his speech better because his speech was quite awful at that point.
his speech was terrible.
He started reading
Um,
the speech and he was like, "Oh, zombie." It's like he's already a zombie.
yeah, pretty much. So then he goes and takes the shrooms or whatever. And but there's the little connections between him and the other guy, Gore, and I guess Trask invited Gore out, according to the text he got, right? I don't think it was the other guy, but it was Trask. So he wanted to hook up with Trask. So was Trask bisexual or something?
No, that was all the spirits doing all that texting.
Right, 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 right. But did Gore think he was bisexual or something? That's why he was going out to meet him in the woods, right?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
I
There's a
don't
little
know.
bit of stuff like that, and um, my favorite line, like my favorite little scene, was that there was Paulette and Trask are smoking weed together, and he just starts taking off his clothes, like, and he's in his like underwear or whatever, boxers, whatever, boxer briefs, and he's just like she's like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Just getting comfortable." And I'm like, "What?" Like he really did not have any dominance, and then she had to like force it on him, or whatever.
Well, I liked how she was like, "Does that actually work for you?" Because she thought he was trying to, come onto her, and then she's like, "Oh." Apparently it
Yep.
worked. So
Apparently it worked on her. So they
never
end up
tried that one before.
they were gonna hook up for a second, but then he became the zombie.
Yeah, right as
So
they
like
were starting. So he's like, "Oh."
he just died, right?
Yeah, I
And
didn't get that either because he wasn't on his phone or
he wasn't on
anything.
his
So,
phone.
and neither was the stripper. They weren't. He wasn't on his phone.
I don't think he was.
So I don't know because he's driving away. He's like, "No, I'm getting the hell out of here. Screw
Yeah,
this." So I
but
didn't
his phone
really.
was next to him, so that's the only thing
I
I
guess
can
like
think.
did it zap him from the phone or something?
I
And
don't know, but he
the
was
stripper dude,
holding
his
it
clothes
later.
are far away. Yeah,
He
the
was
stripper.
the
Yeah,
stripper
they
was
all had
holding
their
it
phone
later.
later. They
Yeah,
all got it.
so I don't know.
But
That's
yeah,
weird.
Trask, I mean, he didn't have any clothes on at that point, so who knows where his pants ended up or whatever.
I mean, I
So,
think that's probably the biggest problem with this movie is just like because when you go supernatural, you can pretty much make up any excuse as long as you explain it, you know? Like you could be like, "Oh, the person the person must have, you know, been close to his phone, so that's why this happened," right? You can make that up, but somebody has to say something, like in order for the audience to understand it. Because otherwise, you're a little confused, right?
mhm.
You're just like, why, um, why did that happen? Why did that person do that? Or why is that phone away from, the people, but yet somehow they get killed, or whatever. And they have no pulse,
Yeah,
or
that's the other thing
whatever.
is they're actually like literally dead, and then they're zombies, and then at the end they're alive. So, but like that one girl would have been dead for a while. I mean, she would have, feel like Alexis or rigor mortis would have been starting to set in at that point or something.
Yeah.
She's laying there for a long
If she was
time.
really dead, but was she
Yeah,
really dead, or was she just unconscious or something? Ghost coma. I mean, that's
there's
a
no
cool title
pulse.
for a movie, Ghost Coma.
Ghost coma.
Yeah, but I mean, like what is going on? Like there's no real explanation. But then again, if you're really dealing with that situation, you wouldn't get a real explanation for any of it. You would just be like, okay, that happened, and now it's over.
Hmm.
Now we're gonna get married and we're gonna enjoy ourselves for the rest of the time. Not have to worry about these witches who we never see, or these this dead girl who wasn't really doing anything. Like it wasn't her fault, but I guess she was needed to fulfill the whole thing, to
Hmm.
finish it. Which was weird because what does she have to do with the witches? Nothing really,
Other than
right?
that, she can talk to them because they're all dead or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
in the
mean that's
same
it.
place. They're
So,
all
but
like
like
spirits trapped together.
I guess because she was invited, they called on her to explain what was going on. So we needed her to explain about the dead the witches doing everything, you know. Because we know about the witches. They've been talking about that there was some witches that were hung
Hmm.
at that area. I'm wondering if this was based on any real thing because that particular tribe of Indians are real. You know, the
Did
camp.
you look it up?
Yeah, I
Did you?
looked it up. It's a
I
real
did not.
Native American. Uh, what was the? It was called. I want to say Potum Cum because they make a joke because it has like come in the name, so they make a joke about it or whatever. And I thought, oh, okay, that's why they picked that particular thing. It's
I have to see that word. I can't even remember.
I did look it up. Let's see, yeah, Pocumtuck.
That sounds
Um,
right.
Pocumtuck. Yeah, they are we're a Native American tribe historically inhabiting western areas of Massachusetts. So Massachusetts would be like Salem, you know, so that might make sense for stuff. But this is took place in, I think it was supposed to be Massachusetts or something, you know. Yeah, I don't think it's. I know it said it was filmed in New Jersey, but I don't think it was technically Jersey. Though, did you notice one of the area codes was a 757 area code?
I
It was
did,
like
yeah.
757
One of them.
555, and I laughed my ass off. I'm like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
that's my area code. That's my area. That's the was it Virginia? So I was like, so somebody from Virginia, one of the
Lives
characters.
there.
live there. But I don't think it was like one of the uh, anybody in the cast and crew. I think they just picked different area codes. One was Southern California. One was there. I'm sure one was probably New Jersey. You know, so they used probably different area codes just to,
Yeah.
because everybody had they had the contact sheet with everybody's names. So that was the big thing, is like anybody could have done that, but then they'd have to hack everybody's phone and just, send all these different messages. So it got confusing because I was like, wait, is Mia really sending her husband these messages, or is somebody else sending them, Because remember at one point he was like, should I scare her? And then there was like silence, and then she goes, fine, you know? And I was
Yeah.
like, did she really write that? Like, does she have time right now to be writing that? Like she's not really thinking about that stuff necessarily. She's thinking about, like, I guess all the other crap that's going on too. I don't know. So
Yeah, it was weird how there was like some messages that were going through that were like from actual people, and then there were just the ghost messages, and you kind of never knew which is which. And I thought it was kind of weird at the end where there was like messages they got from real people that were kind of made them all anxious, or some issues like that. Uh, Eileen girl, she was one of the early ones, got a message that was like, I'll
boss
tell you you're
lady,
fired or something.
boss lady, yeah.
Yeah, you're fired. And then they were all getting mad because, and then the mother was like, uh, sorry, Scott didn't make it, or something. Her kid didn't make it. And then it like stopped, and like they're all freaking out, and that was like contributing to their anxiety. But then at the end of the movie, all the like next messages came through that were real, and then the boss is like, "Oh, just kidding, you're not fired. You got this." She was like this talent show or something, and then the mother got it. It's like everything was fine. Like afterwards, that was all fine too, like these messages. But
Yeah,
in the
everything
meantime,
everything
they're
was a
getting these
happy ending,
messages. Yeah,
to it. Like there weren't.
even like the real world stuff like that.
Yeah, but they were all freaking out because, yeah, like Scott didn't make it, which meant, her son was dying or something like that or whatever. And
Yeah,
so
because
she
they
had to go.
introduced like this kid had like a nut allergy, and like the father was asking, he's not allergic to whatever nuts, right?
Mm.
And so
Yeah,
that
there's just a lot going on with that.
yeah,
And it's kind of well, the one thing that, you like the using the pop-up text messages, but it kind of got distracting because
it did a little bit. Yeah, I mean the
um
animation looked good, but it did get a little bit like cumbersome with all those.
because you had to like either stop it or you had to read it or whatever, and that just takes some time out of what you're doing, to kind of concentrate on that. So I don't know. It was okay. It's just sort of a little annoying, you know.
Hmm.
But that happens with these kind of movies because they're fun, but they're trying so hard to be hip kind of thing, in a way. Like it was it knew, like everything was hashtag this or whatever. And I always laugh at that because there's a movie called Carousel. It's about a killer carousel unicorn, that goes around and
I
kills
have not
everybody.
seen that one.
Yeah, it's fun. I think it's on YouTube or on Tubi. But and so is the second one. We reviewed that for our Patreon only. Um, but was it in Carousel? There was a character that was like hashtag everything. Everything, like she said, was hashtag everything. Like hashtag this sucks. Hashtag, like she would say it in regular life, you know. And
Mm.
I thought that was funny because they kind of did that too, where they were like, hashtag, this is gonna be the best, trip ever or something, right? This is gonna be the best wedding ever.
Hmm.
And I'm like, all right, come on. That gets annoying in real life. I don't want to hear nobody. I've never heard anybody in real life actually say that stuff,
Mm-mm.
and I liked how when they were reading the text, like there was a voice of whoever was like saying the stuff. It would say like hashtag love you, a smiley face, and they would actually say smiley face. And I thought that was funny because I've gotten in trouble for for actually saying hashtag smiley, or whatever, saying that like that. Well, but all in all, I thought it was a very cute movie. You know, I
I
enjoyed
was
it.
pleasantly surprised. Yes.
I was too. And once again, I never know. There have been movies I've picked through this thing where I'm like, oh God, why did I subject somebody to that? Um, but this movie I felt like was just sort of goofy and fun and had enough comedy in it. In fact, the girl that just did 31 Days of Indie Horror with me, Sarah Atkins, we did a movie called Glorious. It was a horror comedy about a talking glory hole. That was a god that was living inside a glory hole in a rest stop bathroom. Don't ask. Watch the movie on Shudder if you get a chance. It is hilarious. But yeah, so we did that. Now I sent her a message today saying she needs to watch this movie because she would get a kick out of it because it's funny. Like it's not meant to be serious at all. It had a lot of fun stuff going on for it, and you could
Good. Yeah.
tell the people loved camp slasher movies, and wanted to make something that was truly different than any of the other camp slasher movies that you see.
But it still had a lot of the homages to the old camp slasher movies, like I was saying, like all the like little camp doors and stuff. I mean, it seemed like it was filmed on legit camp. I guess
Yeah,
they did one or something. So
it was a problem. It was filmed at. You mentioned that it was filmed at a camp in New Jersey. So I'm wondering if any of the people that worked on this movie actually worked there or something, or if they were just because usually you write what you can get, you know, right? When you're an indie producer, you're like, oh, I have access to a camp. You don't usually write, I'm going to make a camp movie and then I have to go and find a camp, or whatever. You usually go, okay, I have access to these places, like we have access to a hospital we could be using for our films, or whatever. So eventually we're going to use it. I just haven't written something for a hospital, but we have an abandoned hospital that would be pretty cool to spread. Yeah, it was the one right across from where we were meeting up at the studio. So, but yeah, we've been in there. I've walked through it. It is kind of scary because, like, it's dark. I don't know if there's any lights, or whatever electricity. I don't know, but you work that out. That's what you would do if you have something like that. Um, but anyway, it was cool. It was fun. And I would really recommend the movie. I'm happy to say, like, more than not, these days there have been movies I recommend for 31 Days of Indie Horror. So I think more people should check it out if they get a chance.
yeah, I liked it. I would recommend it too.
All right. Well, what did you think of your first time reviewing a movie?
It's good.
It was good.
Hopefully I helped.
Yeah. Hopefully people, got a kick out of this, and hopefully people wanna go see it, or if they haven't, hopefully they haven't watched this before they've seen it. Because we did tell
Then I
Phil
don't know
the
what
ending.
happens. We did warn about spoilers.
Yeah, we did warn them. So that's your fault if you. It's
Hmm.
all on the person who watches this, and then they can be like, "Damn it, dude." I mean, I spoil every one of these because unless it's literally something that you can't get anywhere, and it's really hard. And then I do short reviews for those because, I can't do a whole 45 minutes or more for a movie that, not many people can watch, because then I can't really spoil anything,
Yeah.
right? I'd want
Hmm.
them to go find it. And this is easy, you just go on Tubi.
Yeah, I
Um,
found it easy when you sent it to me. I think, hey,
yep. I was like,
there you
hey,
go.
check this out. And you're probably like, camp wedding? That I mean, I that's the only thing I don't like about this movie is the title. Like, it just doesn't come off as a horror film title. you know? Like I get it because there's like Camp Murder, there's Camp Blood, there's Camp all these titles. But see,
Hmm.
Camp Murder, Camp Blood, those sound scary. Then you go to camp, you go to Camp a Wedding. I'm just like, yeah, I don't
Although when you
that's
see the poster, you can tell it's a horror film.
right. And if you looked it up, but if you just said the title, people would I would literally think it was a TV show about a wedding, like a reality show about people throwing
I can see
a
that.
wedding on a at a camp. Which is not a bad idea, you know. What was there going to be a pastor or a reverend or
I
something?
don't know.
Because that's the only reason I'm wondering. Because like, did they have to message the reverend? Hey, don't come, reverend, unless you know exorcisms. Don't come to this thing because we got, that might have actually been good to have a reverend on there. That could have been cool. Like if they had the reverend come early or whatever, and then he's like he has to exercise the place and stop, like that would have been I would have liked that. So if they
Or
make
if
a
he had a Reverend Zombie, if he,
well, he had his
committed a
phone.
sin, yeah, could
Yeah,
be.
so a sinful preacher, sinful reverend. That's interesting. I like
Hmm.
that. I want sequel if they ever make a sequel of this movie, which I don't think they would. Sadly, a lot of indie films don't really get sequels that much. Um, Even if they're a horror, unless they do really, really well, or whatever, and get like a lot of attention. Um, Mainly because there's just so many, you know, and so a lot of these movies go direct to like Tubi or whatever, and they're basically used as a way for a director to show that he's made something, so he can go and make something bigger.
Yeah, they don't make a whole lot of money to be able to support a sequel, if
Yeah,
any.
yeah, unless it went, and this was 2019, the year before 2020. And 2020 was the year like everything was on Tubi, because
No.
that's all it could be. Like nobody really liked to put anything out or whatever. So I don't know. It's an interesting movie. I definitely recommend it.
Hmm.
I really do hope they do make it. I would watch a sequel of it, but if they don't, I'd love to see what else this guy does. The director. We never said the director's name. Greg M. Emataz. Um, he directed 13 movies, so this isn't, or like 12 other ones. He's
A
done
lot of
a
shorts, yeah, I was looking up too.
bunch of shorts. Has he done
He's
any? Is this his
cinematographer.
only?
He's got
Yeah.
12
Oh wow, that's his only feature.
only feature, yeah. A lot of
And he's
shorts.
doing a western next called Amador County Has No Coroner. So I guess he did a horror film. Now he's on to doing what, he wants to do different genres, not be stapled into the same shtick. So good for him. I would definitely recommend this. Did he write it? Also, he had to also co-written it at least. Um, he
Yeah, he's a writer credit,
Yep, with somebody did
editor.
co-story with Kara Consilvio. She in the movie as well? Oh, she was Mia.
Um,
Makes sense. Oh, no, 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 no. Never mind. I take that back. She was not. She was the Mia opera vocals. So she was the girl who did all the opera line, stuff. I thought
I was
that
like
chick did it.
voiceover. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Now I'm like, damn it. That just ruined it,
Yeah, we
like
didn't
ruined
talk
that
about
part.
the opera before though. Whenever she
What?
got scared or something, or someone was attacking her, she'd do opera. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, and she said it was because she heard that an opera singer did that when her
Yeah, and
mother
like
came.
yeah, and they ran away because the high notes scared them away or something.
I think it would sort of scare people away because people think you're crazy.
Certainly unsettling. The first time she did it in the movie, I was like, "What is happening?"
I
You
agree
just built
because
out some high notes there. You're trying to break your eardrums.
Yeah, so they scared the shit out of the person. The person's like, "What are you doing?" Oh, it's you. Okay. Like, when I like that. I like that she did that. So they did use her opera stuff, which I'm like, she did have a really great voice. Why isn't she doing more stuff? She was coaching or something, doing coaching. I don't know why she wasn't on stage doing opera stuff. But there's not that many people who can actually hit those notes, you know, real well. I know I can't. I can't sing worth shit. So,
Hmm.
I always love that when people actually can do opera and everything. So, yeah, just there was so much in this movie that because like I said, it kind of kept unraveling everything. In the beginning, you didn't know what was going to happen. Then throughout the movie, you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then at the end, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Sort of makes sense.
Sort of, yes. At least it
Yeah.
wraps it all together. What was going on?
At least, I mean, I can understand like that everybody's sure, why everybody kind of came back, I guess, a little bit, but I don't know. It's still a little bit confusing. So it was, it was a fun movie. And with even with those like little things, I'm gonna see real quick. Sometimes IMDb has some uh some good reviews that, oof, wow, I'm surprised. Nobody's liking this movie at all on IMDb. I'm sad about that. That's actually
3.3.
3.3 on the star scale, and everything's like 4, 1 star, 1 star, 6 star, 2 star. I
It
mean,
got 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's pretty
wow,
high.
that's pretty high for Rotten
That's pretty,
Tomatoes.
yeah.
That's pretty good. But how many
Hmm.
reviewers?
Oh, seven,
See, that's why.
7.
I bet if they did higher, it'll get lower. Um, more reviewers on there. But Letterbox, let me see Letterbox. That's how I definitely know sometimes because Letterbox is pretty good at these things. Ooh, 2.3 on Letterbox out of 89 reviews too. That's pretty pretty
Oof.
low. I would
I would have given higher than that. I mean, I do.
I would give it, if I had to give it out of 5 stars, I would give it a 3.5. You know, like it was fun and enjoyable. Like the way I view my star rating is, which is how everybody probably does, but 1 is like terrible, like the worst. 2 is like okay, right? 3 is good. 4 is pretty good, and 5 is excellent. It's the best. And so
Hmm.
3.5 is close to pretty good. I think it just sort of lacked some explanation, and that sort of brought it down a little bit. What about you?
Yeah, I could do like 3.5 stars.
Yeah. So there you go. So I mean, that's not bad, you know. Um, I mean, I know as an independent filmmaker, it's tough to make these movies and make things make sense sometimes when you're on a low budget and everything.
Right.
So I'd want this on DVD at some point where I can watch it and maybe listen to some commentary, see what it took to make this. So if
I would
it's
like
on
to see how
DVD,
much
it's
it
it.
took to make this. And
How much?
I wonder how much, um,
Well, they had to rent out the camp unless that was free,
I don't
and
see anything on IMDb about
budget,
production costs. Yeah, how much budget
uh,
was.
no budget listed.
No.
I like the tagline though. The tagline is Mia's getting married this weekend if it kills her. And then it was filmed at Camp Nyota, Oak Ridge, New Jersey. So I thought that was cool. All right. Oh, I looked it up. It said location not found. So on IMDb, that's funny. Um, They had the world premiere of it at the Nevermore Film Festival on March 18th, 2019. It won the Audience Award for Best Feature. So there you go.
There you go.
Once again, I would totally recommend it. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you listen to our thing, but if you have seen it, let us know what you guys think. Did you guys like it? Did you not like it? Were you part of the casting crew? Like how much, how much was the budget for this film? Like it can't be too much. There was barely any blood or anything, you know. Oh, we forgot to mention that girl had a gluten allergy, and she was like, we thought she was puking or something. Like I thought she was puking blood,
Not
but
just drinking blood or something. They turned it to blood.
it turned out to be beet juice.
Yeah.
So which okay, I'm sorry, but if you think it's blood, are you gonna take your hand and put it up and like
gross.
eat it and go,
She
it's
went
beet juice
on a toilet. Yeah. Wiped
on a toilet?
like, oh, like,
Oh my
oh.
God, that's
What kind of
disgusting.
person would do that at a
I
camp?
don't
This probably has
know.
been clean for like 10 years.
I don't need like I'm surprised the girl even said I'll do that, because I would have even as an actress or actor or whatever, I'd just be like, come on. Come on, that's
Well, it
like
was cut though, so I'm sure she didn't actually do it from between the wipe and the mouth. It was cut in between, wouldn't it?
maybe.
I remember right.
I don't remember exactly, but it probably was.
I wouldn't
That's
do
funny.
it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either. Nope. Nope. But like I forgot to mention that because that was gross. Because she's just like, ooh, and she was like, "It's beet juice," and I'm like, first of all, I wouldn't know what beet juice tastes like myself personally, but like, no, no,
Well,
you can't get me to do that.
I say I do it, but then I get on set and the director says, "Oh, you need to taste this." I'm like, "Oh, okay," go into it. I probably would be like, "Ah, screw it." Actually, I maybe like wipe it down with some alcohol or something first, clean it down, and I put a drop there for me. I'd do that.
Like, let me make sure this is clean.
Let me clean
You know,
it. Get in my
maybe she
Sanders.
did. Maybe she made sure it was clean before I mean, unless she really didn't do it like that. I don't know. That was disgusting. But that's the point of the
Hmm.
part. So like I get it. I'm just like, who in their right mind would do that? Nobody. Nobody would really, especially not a bridezilla like that. She's watching herself. Like she's not gonna go, like that. Like I want to see if this tastes like blood.
Hmm.
No, like it would have been even funnier if she tasted it. She goes, "Oh my God, it's blood." Right? Like I would have been like, "Oh my God, you just tasted blood. That's
Now you know what it
disgusting."
tastes like.
Um, I don't know if you've never like, when you had something, you've never tasted blood before.
Maybe a long time ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, I've never. It's not like I do that all the time. I'm not a vampire, or nothing. I don't suck on
Don't go
blood.
around drinking it.
I don't go drinking it. No, but not right now. At least I have no reason to. Diet blood though. Blood diet. All right, or blood light.
Bud Light.
That's what a vampire drinks at a bar. Blood light. You know.
Watered down version.
Yep. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you so much, Jason. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have you back for another thing. I'm sure we got to get you out to the studio to do an episode of Indie Film Cafe with us, at some point.
Yeah,
I know
it's
you've
been a
been
while
very
since I've
busy.
seen you.
Yeah, it's been March of last year, I think.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Wait, when did
2000.
we did? No, we did something after March, didn't we?
Nope,
This
we
summer?
did. We did November of last year. We did the Love Spell. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So it's been a little while. It's
Been
been
a bit.
almost a year. We're getting there.
It's too long.
I know. We got to get you back out here. Shoot some TikTok videos or something, with Dr. Acula. I know you like it. I
Break out
know
my
you enjoy
suit.
playing that character.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got a podcast we're going to be doing next year sometime whenever we get our shit together for it. But we're planning to do the Dr. Acula podcast, which will be a lot of fun. You like I said, you love that character. It's fun. It's a fun little thing to play. We will be doing probably more Davila episodes at some point.
That was fun doing the
Yeah,
Davila.
Yeah, that was the first time you played Dr. Acula as being on
Was
Davila.
him.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to explore with that character, which was kind of fun to, fun for all of us. Um, I like improv too, so well, I like not having to, I like to just direct and not have to write everything, make you guys do all the work, you know, just tell you sort of what, sort of what your character's about. Go do it. You know. But what else have you been up to?
Oh, a lot of commercials lately. So just working. This summer's been kind of slow, but I've missed out on a few gigs in June. I got COVID for the second. I missed out on 4 gigs this year because I haven't COVID twice. That
Jesus
sucks.
Christ.
Um, yeah, I have a few parts and a few films coming out.
Funny how like the gigs pop up when you have COVID,
Right,
you
there's
know.
one week I had COVID. There's 3 freaking gigs I had to cancel. All 3 commercials. I was like, seriously?
I see you on the commercials, like the local commercials and shit. I'm like, oh my god, it's Jason. You
There's a
know?
new one that just came out last week. It's actually kind of fun. It's for the Luigi's Italian Ice things. It's kind of like a little bit. I should send it to you. It's got kind of like a little weird, spooky vibe, and then there's like this whole and I'm holding this Luigi's cup, and it's
Oh,
all like
very
voice.
cool.
It's all me doing voiceover, and I'm just kind of thinking in my head, but it's kind of a fun one. So yeah, doing a lot
Neat.
of commercial work and some good films coming out here pretty soon.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for you, dude. Um, so anyway, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed this. Check us out on indiefilmcafe.podbean.com, on YouTube. Obviously, this is going to the YouTube, so there you go. There's also a indiefilmcafe.reviews. That's our main website, and then also sickflickproductions.com, but also patreon.com/indiefilmcafe. If you guys want to donate $1, you guys will get a free every month you'll get a free Patreon only podcast where Paul and I will review a film that sometimes a bigger movie that we might not do for Indie Film Cafe, and then or we might repeat one that we've already done but with somebody else that hasn't done it with us yet. So but that's it. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.